Hey, it's Nate with Pulse PEMF in the Pulsecast booth at the 2025 Live Biohacking Conference. And you can hear probably the noise, the commotion. We've got our regeneration station right next to us. And right next to me, I've got Barry from Energy Lounger. Barry, thank you so much
Hey,
for joining.
awesome to be here. And what a great setup you guys have at this
Isn't
event.
this
It
awesome?
is amazing.
We're drawing a lot of people to the back corner here
Yeah.
and keeping the energy level high.
I think this is the front corner. This is
It
definitely the busiest corner in the
it
in the
feels
hall.
like it now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We've had a nonstop flow of people going all week long. How has the conference been for you so far?
Yeah, it's been amazing. I'm not exhibiting here. I'm helping out my friend Sarah Turner downstairs with the Sarah Thrive. But of course, I was on a plane with someone from Pulse. I've seen
Nice.
the socials, and I've known Joe, as we've talked about before, for what seems like forever, but it's only been about a year and a half.
Everybody knows Joe,
Yeah,
especially in this space.
Joe's amazing.
He is.
And what a true ambassador of human health and well-being.
That's the word I was going to use. He is truly an ambassador. So I know you're not exhibiting here, but let's talk a little bit about Energy Lounger and what you've been up to in the last few years.
Yeah, so how we met was my passion is red light therapy, and I worked with an amazing team out of Holland called Light Tree Ventures to bring the Energy Lounger to life. So what the Energy Lounger is, it's a near and red ergonomically designed lounger.
It looks very comfortable.
Exactly, to optimize human recovery. So I was really focusing on that musculoskeletal recovery, lowering inflammation, getting people out of pain, a quick duration of a session, but high efficacy in its experience. So when you look at the Energy Lounger, the most common question I get is, why don't you treat the front of the body? And one thing I need to explain is with infrared, we're treating into the body. And the body knows instinctively where to place that energy.
Yes.
If you think about taking a vitamin C in the morning, you don't tell your body to put it at your knee by placing the vitamin C tablet on your kneecap.
That's right. That's a good point.
So red light and infrared is similar. Once the body has that energy applied, then it's able to be used where it's needed. And the body signaling is very intelligent, so we don't have to always deliver front and back solutions.
That makes sense.
Number one reason for going to the doctor is back pain. So if I can address back pain without drugs and pharmaceuticals and the negative implications of side effects and damage to the liver, it was really my target market. I will say that I have succumbed to pressure and developed a blanket for the front of the body and a facial hood. But fundamentally, the base of the Energy Lounger is still able to lower inflammation and address that number one concern of discomfort and pain.
I know you're a friend of Pulse PEMF through Joe, and so
Yes.
you're very familiar with the technology. And before we started recording, you had mentioned that you're very passionate about wellness resorts and wellness centers and stacking these different modalities. What does that look like in your discovery? I'm sure you're vetting quite a bit and
Yes.
seeing what combinations work. What are some of your favorite biohack stacks, and what are you finding in that space?
It's so the reason Energy Lounger existed was I was building a wellness resort in China, and it was actually during COVID, but it wasn't me. Okay, so just for the record, COVID wasn't my fault. But I
No
was
letter writing companion.
Yeah, exactly. So I was looking to buy a ergonomic lounger, and I couldn't find it. So that's why the Energy Lounger was and is existing in the marketplace today. Within that resort, we were offering a range of modalities. And when you're looking at different modalities, I think one of the things we really need to focus on is how a person feels during the treatment. So what I really love about Pulse and the way that this whole audience here loves about Pulse is you feel it instantly. So there's no delay in feeling the benefits of the session.
That's right.
I work closely with our friends Rowena over at NanoVi. So people with autoimmune conditions, when they're doing a red light therapy bed, the NanoVi, and then moving on to Pulse, the effects in that sort of 30 to 40 minutes is astounding.
Yes.
So these are the stacks I love. Going a little bit further advanced with that, and back to the wellness resort example, when we give an IV, if we can give an IV, a red light therapy, a NanoVi followed up by a pulse, we're able to really maximize the time of the person. So you're not taking like a 30-minute IV session, a 20-minute red light session, another 20-minute pulse session, and then potentially another 20-minute NanoVi session.
Right.
over that time. You can put a lot of those sessions at the same time, and then you're in and out the door with under an hour. And everyone has an hour to get out of
Come
discomfort
on.
or hell. Yeah,
Yeah,
hell.
yeah. Enough with the
There
excuses.
you go.
So with biohacking stacking, I know that some people can get lost in the what should come first, and there is something to be said about strategic placement of those stacks. Are you finding that it's interchangeable, or do you have a specific protocol where you're like, this needs to always be first, followed by?
I think with some of the protocols, it's well established. Like if you're going to cold plunge, it's better to cold plunge before working out.
Mhm.
But operationally, if you've had a cold plunge, then you need to dry off. You don't want to sit in your wet togs on a Pulse PMF and drain all the water off your swimsuit into the
Right.
device. So there's some practicalities about what modalities you're using and how you're using them. Fundamentally, I believe that as long as you're getting those sessions in, is there an ideal? There is an ideal. But is there also do no harm? There's also that too. So if you're needing to do your PMF because it's available when you walk into a center and then follow it with something else, that is perfectly acceptable. And I don't want people to think, oh, it's dangerous to do something in a different order. That's not the case.
Right.
The analogy I like to say to people is if we can charge the cells and then use pulse to get them throughout the body, that's a nice analogy. But we can also condition the body to open up everything. So when we're going from pulse to another modality, we're ready to receive more of that benefits of nutrients and vitamins,
Yes.
etc.
When you're talking about wellness resorts, that's probably a new concept for some people, though the biohacking movement's been going on for a while, but we're still really at the forefront of this, right? Like we can feel it escalating. We know that this is only going to explode and continue to grow from here. Where do you see the wellness resorts in this particular space? Specifically, I'm thinking um, like 3 day or 7 day visits. Are you creating packages, and how do the offerings look in this setting like that?
Yeah, so the first health resort I walked in was 25 years ago.
Hmm.
We had cold plunge, we had flotation tanks, we had EWAT, exercise with oxygen therapy. We had a range of physical treatments such as massage, deep tissue. We had Asian practices like traditional Chinese medicine, functional medicine. What I'm noticing more and more in the modern direction is these are sessions that we would call touchless. So if you think about when we put someone on the energy lounger, we don't need a therapist, we don't need anyone with high skill level to put them on, turn the device on, and experience a biological improvement in their well-being. Same with PMF. Once we have them on the device, we don't need to interact with them. So this is something called touchless therapies. And these are great because from a standpoint of running these services, we're giving a really great benefit to our customers and our clients without the need for highly trained, qualified staff. Of course, they need some training, but we're not talking medical doctors, 4 years at massage school with certifications, in the state, especially even state qualifications to, in a very layman's term, activate a device.
Right.
So this is where I see the future moving. A lot of touchless technologies that are improving human performance without the need for highly qualified staff to operate them. You'll still have that element, especially when we're looking at the performance side. We do want pre screening and post screening
For sure.
to ensure we get those results. But I really feel and see from just being here and looking around, so many of the experiences are not needing highly trained staff. So I think touchless is definitely the future.
I love the concept of people coming to a specific space because they may not want to invest in every modality in their home right away. It almost gives these the everyday person an opportunity to experience the different modalities first and almost sampling it. And then I liked how you talked about the pre-screening and then looking at the quantifiable evidence of what happened after the fact. I think that's going to be a gold mine in the years ahead because most people are not going to be able to afford every modality in their home, but you can get a week long reset very easily. So where are you looking at as far as its locations? And if some of that's private information, I totally understand.
No, no. I mean, I put that out there. There are some longevities centers. There are some biohacking centers set up. There's some brands already making an inroads to the space. I would say that, you know, in the sense of we used to have a den in the family home or a
Hmm.
games room in the family home. These are moving into more of these optimized human optimization areas where people are installing certain devices. But the reality is to impact more people, not everyone's going to do that in the family home.
Right.
So if we can have sort of the community or the neighborhood center set up, I believe this is going to be the future. It's not particularly high investment, but it's a relatively easy modality for people to opt into and use at a membership basis on a weekly basis, like what we used to do with the gym, where we would buy our membership. And some gyms are moving into the space, putting in recovery centers, putting in recovery rooms, charging a little bit more for that. But I think there's a breakout model of that where it is disconnected and it's its own standalone facility.
And see, that's where I think we have the med spas and we've got the wellness centers, but you come for a day or just a few hours. But with a resort, you're disconnecting from the norm and you're really getting immersed in a lifestyle
Yeah,
and allowing to experience something that is outside of your norm, but also everything's bespoke, right? It's catered to the individual,
yeah,
and with like even a 3 day or a 7 day, you could leave completely changed after that. I've seen some reports of wellness centers. Well, they'll pulse water and they're experiencing some incredible things, but that may only be for like a day or
yeah.
two. So the residual effects. So what does that look like then when you're shopping markets? Is this going to be something global that you see?
Yeah, so I sort of say the easiest analogy is a hub and then a spoke. So let's say I go to my wellness resort and I get my 10-day reset.
Yes.
Well, that's great, but what happens on day 11?
Right.
So I travel home, for example, if I've had to travel overseas for that or even domestically. Now, the spoke is where I'm able to go to my community center and continue those treatments and that protocol, work on my nutrition at home, but have that support network. So when I go back to the hub, my baseline is already improved. And I think that's
Brilliant.
going to be an amazing thing for humanity and people of all income levels, because these are not necessarily elitist treatments anymore. As I said, the whole idea of getting away from those high um, salaried employees is that the cost or the barriers to entry are significantly lowered.
I think we've misappropriated like terms like diet, and it creates this mindset of seasonal wellness, where it's like. So I love that concept of the hub and the spoke, where it's that you're building a lifestyle. This is something that I'm not just looking to do a reset and then go back to business as
Yeah.
usual. And then I go back to my normal diet and the normal things. It's about shifting a mindset, right? So when you come back home, now you're equipped to adapt and change things in the home and start, because a lot of times when people are being introduced to a wellness environment, a wellness lifestyle, it can feel a little overwhelming, right? There's so many conflicting voices, but then there's also so many modalities and different things to look at and biomarkers to study, and all of those things can cause people who are new to this to shy away and be like, that's overwhelming.
Yeah.
And so that approach is almost allows people to segue and transition easily into a wellness lifestyle. So are you thinking like the hubs would be in relation to those spokes, so to speak, so that now you're building a community aspect and now everyone's working together for that synergistic effect?
Yeah, I mean, community is one part of that and gamifying it, because when you go back to that resort, you want your score to be higher.
Yeah.
So, like, if you can attend, like, I've got to do this twice a week and you're ticking that box, over
Yes.
52 weeks, you've done 104 sessions. When you go back, of course, you're going to be better because your baseline was potentially 0 sessions. So,
Yes.
that gamification, that accountability. And if you get lost or you get stuck, you've got that support back at the hub to question, hey doc, this has happened, or um, you know life throws curveballs. Maybe you lost a loved one or a parent. That does affect you in different ways, that
Yeah.
even though you're able to walk in there, there's a component that you may need that extra support from the hub, which is where the central core is, as opposed to just going through a series of experiences.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
I love how this community is so focused on helping one another. Like you even said it, I'm not here to exhibit. I'm just helping my friend
Yeah.
with her booth, and that collaboration that we're seeing in the movement is, I think, is what's causing some of this exponential growth.
Yeah.
And so, with how did you get involved in the wellness and biohacking community? Because I can tell helping people is clearly one of your main goals. So, what was the life situation that brought you into this, that now has positioned you to be able to help more people?
So my mum was a midwife, and that's very intensive, physical work. And she used to go to a chiropractor for adjustments. But if she was having a really bad day and needed her back fixed, as a 7-year-old son, she asked me to walk on her back. So I thought, oh, that's helping my mum. As a 10-year-old boy, I wasn't going to be walking on my mum, but I had younger sisters. So I was like, okay, this is my mum who's a medical professional that enjoys the release of that. But it always triggered me to think, well, I'm not actually trained in any of these disciplines. And I didn't, at 7, you don't understand what's safe and what's not safe.
Yep.
But very early on, I was exposed to going and learning deep tissue massage. So I did my first massage course at 15. And then I could come home and say, Mom, get off, sisters. You're not walking on her back anymore. And give her a 40, 50-minute massage to help relieve those tensions and those
The
pains.
world needs more sons like
Yeah.
you.
So, and then that led into studying exercise physiology, which led into working in health clubs. That's led into spas and then functional medicine, anti-aging clinics, and then into with that experience going into more wellness resorts. So, as I said, I was working in a wellness resort 25 years ago, and then about um, 20 years ago was when I started helping develop wellness resorts. So that was the journey in a very accelerated
The Cliff
description.
Notes version, yeah.
Yeah.
So, starting at 7 and being aware of probably the holistic nature of the body, that even something as odd as walking on a back could actually cause a release of dopamine and a increase of mobility. What has been probably one of the biggest breakthroughs from the age 7 till now in revelation on how the body functions and those fundamentals? What are some of those things that you've carried with you the entire journey?
So I will say, for example, we didn't have Tylenol in our medicine cabinet. We had arnica.
Yes.
We didn't go for a heat rub. We went for an ice pack.
Yep.
Um, Accelerating now to this day and age where I see the most excitement around stem cells, gene therapy, exosomes, and peptides. I think what we're able to introduce, um, and in that same context, terrible diseases like cancer, where we can introduce high levels of natural killer cells to address cancer rather than bombarding the body with a lot of drugs. I think this is a very exciting area. I think there's still a lot of development and a lot of science to go in there,
Yeah.
but this is really, where our treatments such as Pulse, such as Energy Lounger, enhance those very expensive at the moment therapies. But that's really an area from a science point of view that's super exciting.
How, as far as Pulse PEMF is concerned, do you have a favorite accessory or a favorite position and or setting that you like to use?
Of course, it's Joe. You just walk into Joe and go pulse me, and
Yes,
he
say,
and he
Joe, I
sorts
need
you out.
help.
Yeah, he sorts you out.
I love it.
So I I've got there's some new stuff here.
Yes.
You've got some amazing new tech out there, and for your audience listening, if you're ever able to get to a show where this Pulse is exhibiting, the whole team is amazing. So you guys are, we sort of form a trade show family where you show up to these events and rekindle. Well,
Yes.
sometimes it's not even rekindle. You're chasing each other to the next booth. So
Yes.
it's it's a great product. It's highly efficacious, and I can't speak highly enough of all the team and all the devices here. So
Thank you for
yeah.
saying that. We're very grateful for your friendship. And how can our viewers find out more about you and Energy Lounger?
Yeah, so the usual suspects, our website, energylounger.com, Instagram, LinkedIn. They can reach out to me personally. Barry Warrington at LinkedIn is my profile. We really have a lot of information on our website about red light therapy. I'd encourage people to look at our press kit right at the bottom of our website. There's testimonial videos, there's articles, there's scientific papers. And yeah, as I say, I'm sure the audience is only going to see more and more of us collaborating together, which is super exciting.
Yes, and I really believe that wellness resort concept is going to be one of the main things that helps get the everyday person aware of the biohacking movement and what is available now to unlock the human potential. So I have a feeling we're going to see a lot more of you
I
in the near
guarantee it
future.
for sure.
Thank you so
Hey,
much for
cheers. Thank you for
bringing
the time.
your expertise. Absolutely. Make sure you find out more about Barry and Energy Lounger and follow us on YouTube and socials for more wellness tips, wellness hacks. And of course, we're going to give you the front row seat to the biohacking revolution. We'll see you in the next conversation.